Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
All right, this is for any guy who is single. This might even apply to you if you're in a relationship. I'm thinking you probably should know this, okay? And she's somebody that helps guys navigate their relationships, specifically finding their true connection, whether it be through dating apps or just meeting women. And she is Tamara, and she is True Connection, and she's back with us. Welcome. How are you?
Hi. Oh, I'm so glad to be back, Steve. This is an important subject.
It is the top 3 things that women need. I'm intrigued. Yes. I'm curious.
And if you asked a woman what are the top 3 things you need, she would most likely not say these 3.
Based on our previous conversations, and based on the relationship I'm in right now, and what you said is what she said, I'm going to take a stab at one of these 3.
Oh, great.
Without even knowing.
Wait. Great.
She has said to me a number of times that I feel safe with you. And I don't know if that's, is it really?
That's number 1.
That's
number 1. It is. Yeah, well done. And that's the one you'll hear on reality TV or hear women say out loud the most often. I feel safe with you. They don't often say I don't feel safe with you. They just disappear. They're just out. But that's the biggest compliment that you can give a man is I feel safe with you. And it takes a while to arrive at that conclusion because subconsciously she starts tallying that data the second she looks at your profile picture or just feels your energy in the store. It just starts right away. And she's constantly subconsciously accumulating that data every step of the way.
Wow. And honestly, I had no idea what the top 3 were. And I was even thinking maybe this is like, if there was, the top 5, this would be the top 5, but just what you said, and I'm not saying this just because we're here talking today, but that's exactly the path that this went on. And slowly we got to the point where, she had some anxiety because of previous situations, but we went from her not feeling comfortable in a, crowded situation. I'm talking, 7 months ago, to now, we'll just walk into a concert and have a great time. No problem. But I've always said to her from the beginning, I got you. Don't worry. I got you. And I mean it, I'm there.
Yeah.
And that's, she said that a number of times. I feel safe with you. So, all right, that's number 1.
It is the biggest deal. Because and that's from the, reptile brain. I mean, this is just really primal for a woman. That's just really, really what she needs. And she really can't move on if she doesn't. I mean, if you're coming from, a woman that's had a traumatic past can deal with some levels of unsafety, feeling unsafe, but she really can't grow into the long-term loving, sustainable relationship until she feels completely safe.
Yeah.
So, a healthy relationship.
Yes. And I'll jump in here to say that when we talk about traumatic situations, it wasn't from relationships gone bad. It was something else. But I will say this, it's gotten to the point where it's kind of exponentially has grown. Like, took time to get to this. Now that we're here, now it's going a little bit faster. So I guess she's feeling more secure, all based on that. All right.
And that threshold can be different lengths of time for each woman. So don't let that throw you off. And for some women, she says, I feel like that in a couple of weeks. And for some women, it takes a few months. It just depends on what she's been through.
Yeah. And even the woman could say that she feels safe, but it could take months after that for things to look like she truly is feeling safe and then more open and wow. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 of the top 3 things that women need, not want but need. What's number 2?
Masculine energy. If you're a woman in the 90% of women that needs a masculine man, if you're dating someone that doesn't have strong enough masculine energy for you, then that puts you in the masculine role. And if you don't want to be there, then she might not be able to articulate it even because it's not terminology we often use, but she'll just friend zone you or end the date or disappear or thank you but no thank you. And again, that's subconscious because she doesn't feel all that adjusting happening. So like last week when we talked about if you get out of the car and you walk in as a man with more feminine energy coming forward than masculine, that throws the chemistry of the date off right away. And then she's got to put her masculine energy on to compensate for yours. And then she feels uncomfortable and then just doesn't know why it doesn't feel right, but it doesn't. And so then you've lost your traction. So if you ever do find yourself in that situation, you can excuse yourself, go to the restroom, collect your thoughts, just get present, take some deep breaths, consciously put your masculine energy forward, right? That's who you really are. And then walk back out to the date. And then she's going to be like, who's this guy now? And then she's got to adjust. And that's going to take a little bit before then you're in your true you pattern. And but I just want to give you that hope that if you get halfway through the date and you realize you've done that, you can get it back by the end of the if you make it to all the way to the end of the first date and you haven't put your masculine energy forward, you likely won't have a chance at a second date, but you can always ask, because the truth is you didn't get to know the true her either. If she had to bring her masculine energy forward for you, neither one of you made any headway on that first date. You've got to start over on your second date.
And
you just got to get her on the second date.
Sadly, you probably weren't being yourselves anyway.
Yep. Right.
You probably weren't. So
right.
let's look at the guy. Those guys that, let's say they're fairly masculine. They might not be hey doing construction work, hey, but they are they like to take charge. For guys like that are afraid to be too forward and too, I don't want to say overbearing, but like, let me just give an example. Let's say they meet for dinner and maybe they're thinking about doing something after, and he's got, some really great ideas. And maybe he's just leaning back a little bit and doesn't want to be too pushy and say, what about this? What about that? Maybe he should be more forward. I got a great idea. How about this? What do you think? But he's being, best description is he's cautious, walking on a little bit of the eggshells because he doesn't want to make a big, he doesn't want to be a jerk, but he wants to be respectful. How do you know where to go with that so that you are bringing on that masculine energy, but not like overdoing it or being overbearing?
I think it's important to just have how you want the date to go in your mind before you even go in.
Okay.
And so you've got that framework in there. If I really like her, then this, because sometimes it's really fun to just have a progressive first date and it keeps going. I had 12-hour first date one time, but it's just got, if you really want to play it safe, then you have your meet and greet first date and you stay at that place and then it ends after an hour or 2 or 3. Right. But you don't switch venues because she doesn't want to get in your car. Right. Unless you both Uber, you both Subway, you both taxi.
Fair enough.
Then that's fine. But you don't want to switch venues. And then she's in the awkward place. If she doesn't know to say yes, because she doesn't want to get in your car and have that awkward moment. So that just puts her in a place of, she's going into that whole, am I safe? Am I not? Should I go? All the girlfriend voices in her head and her mom are going, no, don't do it. But of course she wants to be spontaneous and do it. So she's having this inner struggle with herself. So it's a safe bet to not do that on a first date. Or if you have like something special going on that you'd really like to go to after that, then the first leg of your date needs to be walking distance from that place and say, just 2 blocks over, they're having this. What do you think about stopping by there for a while? And then it's not nearly so scary and unnerving, and she doesn't have to go through so many, thought turmoils before she can give you an answer.
Do you think a lot of times when a guy is meeting somebody for the first time and she's really she could be it. Like, so far so good, in terms of right away you're attracted, you've talked with her on the phone. You have to have that one conversation or don't do the date.
Yes.
Good texting back and forth. Do you think that some guys are just, when this is a good one right here, that they're even more cautious because they don't want to be too overbearing, even to the point of, not like I'm going to order for you, but even to just jump in there and make suggestions. Hey, I've been here, once before. You got to try the pulled pork nachos. They're incredible.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just leaning back a little too much.
Exactly. Then he
Yeah,
looks disinterested, not present, doesn't have the same intentions, not engaged, can't wait for the date to be over.
but that's so not the case.
She's reading into things just like you are. So you want to be expressive enough and feel free to order for her, help her on with her coat, help her with her chair, all those small gentlemanly gestures. Show your masculine energy and also impress upon her that you're someone she's safe with. Yeah, I totally see where you're going with the being too forward thing. The biggest thing that a woman finds too forward is expression of feelings, because men just fall more quickly than women do and tend to express it relatively quickly. And then that scares the woman because she's only made half that progress. And so then she doesn't know what to say. So it's really that area that you've got to be more cautious with. But really, as much as how much of a forward gentleman you are, just go for it. Just be that guy, because that's who you are. I mean, on your 5-year anniversary, you're still going to want to be that guy. So just be him. That's wildly sexy for most women, because guys either kind of stutter with that, or because they just are hesitant, or they've just forgotten, or they just, they're out of practice. So it's kind of thrilling.
Comes down to one thing I'm seeing here. No matter what, just be yourself. If it's going to work, it's going to work. You can't put on a show or anything. Now, let's flip over to the other side before we go to number 3 of the top 3 things that a woman needs. What about if she's too masculine? I mean, there's been times where I've been at a date or at, table, and she takes over. Not that I have to monopolize, the ordering of it, yeah, we're going to get this and I'm going to get that. And I'm just sitting there like, yeah, okay. All right. And in my mind, like, we were talking before that, the woman is assessing. Now I'm assessing. I was like, oh, all right. Well, kind of taken away some of, my masculinity, if you will, and it's like, okay, fine. All right.
The romantic cadence to the date, you're starting to lose, right? Well, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because a lot of women, including me, will walk into a date and not do the conscious dating exercise in the car. And we walk in with our dragon slayer energy on from work, or from, last week the kids, or whatever we've been doing. And we forget that we get to be a woman, that we get the thrill of being in the feminine seat. And we are overtaken, just like the men are, with thoughts and to-dos, and I've got to remember this. And so it really is just as important, literally, for everyone to do that conscious dating exercise. So if you sit down with a woman and you didn't get that masculine sense from her over the phone or through text, that you really felt her feminine energy before, just slow the cadence of the conversation, or invite her to talk about what's on her mind. Because if she can unload for maybe 10 minutes and then slip into, feminine energy after that, but don't give up on her too quickly. She made just a mistake. That's it. She forgot who she was, which is a woman that is really crazy about being on this date and really excited and happy, and was just caught up in just life. And so just give some grace and try to coax her into that by taking over, or she needs more seasoning. So then you flag the server down and get that for her and remind her that you're the gentleman and you're looking out for her. Yeah, don't give up on her.
Well, I love the fact that and thank you, when we talk here, like, we're really honest. Like, I can even tell you, way back that I was on some dates. Now that I'm, rolling them in my mind, that I probably wasn't forward enough. I'm thinking I'm respecting her boundaries and all that. No, I should have been more. And then you said the same thing, where you walked in as, and instead of being, in the female role, the
Right.
feminine role.
Right.
Yeah, and this brings back, just things flick in my head as we talk. It's just be yourself, because so many times, like, text conversations started like,
Hmm.
we're over here, but then I think they turned into what you really are. Okay.
Hmm.
And that's even, I've even mentioned to somebody of like, what's that picture of you? Like, you have your leg up in your bedroom,
I
and it
remember
wasn't
that.
it wasn't anything salacious. It looked like she was doing some aerobics. I'm like, what is that picture? And she said, "Oh, I just wanted a picture that shows the fun side of me." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, all right." And I have to tell you, right away, I was like,
Yeah. Fun side pictures, that's the land of danger, the danger zone. Don't do that. I don't care if you're man or woman, just don't do it.
and I think I have a picture on
Gonna
a
come
profile.
across as coy or freaky or
Oh, I couldn't even
bizarre.
figure out what it was. All I remember is like her leg is up, like she's marching. And she was
Yeah.
attractive, and then I just remember she had purple curtains in the background, and I will say there's a picture of me with some friends kayaking, and it's
Hmm.
me from selfie angle, and I'm laughing because it was a funny moment, and I just like, that's me. I'm not, trying
Yes.
anything else. It
Hmm.
was just a funny story, though. Again, things that pop in my head. Somebody actually messaged me once and said, "Hey, is that Dean in the background?" And they knew the guy in the picture.
Love that.
Yeah,
Oh my
just
gosh.
it
Well,
was so.
that creates an instant little connection.
Yeah, it was. It started, how do you know him? It was like a random thing there. Okay, top three things women need. Number three.
Confidence. And they're all related, right? You can see how these are so closely related. And the truth is, masculine energy and confidence filter into safety. So if we had to distill this down to one thing, it's safety.
Hmm.
Yeah, confidence is confidence in what you think and what you believe. And she can see that by how you express what you think, believe, what you want. A man that's decisive, takes action, knows what he wants and believes, but is also open to conversation, right? That's very confident. If you can get into a little debate or disagree, oh, that can be such a connection and that builds trust because he was open enough to say, well, I see that in a different way, or that's interesting. I was thinking about it this way. And you
Hmm.
just get into that intriguing conversation. She's like, wow, he's honest. He's going to tell me the truth. It
Hmm.
doesn't, and he's going to respect my opinion that we don't share exactly precisely the same beliefs. And again, confidence with bringing yourself forward, showing your feminine energy too. She wants to know you're going to be vulnerable because the masculine stuff's really hot and sexy. It makes you feel safe. But are you going to tell me what's wrong? Are you going to tell me what's going on with your children if you have any? Are you going to tell me how you feel? Are you going to be expressive? So the feminine elements are really important. In the beginning, you're just going to reveal more masculine because that's who you are. So it is being who you are right from the get-go. It's just you've got to remember that even though all these feminine tasks, nurturing and loving on your kids and your family and caring for, older family members, that puts you in feminine energy, but that is who you are. But then you just want to make sure that you present the full you on all of your dates.
The
So she's
unfiltered,
not
the
just seeing
unfiltered you.
one part of you
Right.
on a date because she's going to get a skewed view of who the true you really is. So it is just being yourself.
Hmm.
It is, but it's also making sure that you are consciously putting all of you forward.
Van
Because otherwise,
Halen.
if you throw that energy off right at the start, oh, it's so hard to get that back.
Van Halen. David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar.
Which one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know. I don't
Wow.
know.
I've never
I'm
met
not
anybody that
sure.
doesn't have an opinion. Hmm.
Really?
Yeah, because if you like David Lee Roth, you don't like Sammy Hagar, and vice versa. And
I
my
like them
point here
all.
is, starting a, even a fun little debate there where you hold your ground and what the reason is for it.
Well,
Like,
yeah, I like them all though.
well,
That's like saying, you know, well, and it depends too. Like if you're saying like, do you like Bruce Willis, versus, Ant-Man. Like they're completely different guys. But you really appreciate the humor in one and you really appreciate the masculinity in one and you know what I mean? Like you just make your own guy in your own head.
Sammy Hagar. Anyway,
That's the right answer. Good.
and we can debate that,
I'll
but
do my
it's
homework.
David Lee Roth had a place in the band, and he was a showman. But Sammy Hagar, I think, is a true musician and whatever. Have you found that went nowhere? By the way, have you found that you're different depending on the person that you're showing up for on a date? Like you react differently, you kind of tailor yourself in a different way based on who you're meeting or your perception of who that person is.
I think
Okay.
some people really bring out like your sparkle, your fun side, your funky side,
Sure.
your like obscure sense of humor. And some people like you just have natural flirtation with. Like that flirtatious energy is just there, which makes it really fun. And other people you just have to have patience and let that box, just the lid, just slowly open and let it evolve. So absolutely, I think we completely inspire different things in each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that can be good or could be bad, because now we're talking about being you, who you really are. But then you may go, like we said before, you might, guy might go on a first date and think to himself, wow, like I really like her so far, and I don't want to blank this up. So now I'm going to filter myself a little bit and try to cater to her what I think she should be or wants. And invariably, the dude just screwed it up. Like he's not being himself. Like he's overthinking things, thinking a second before he speaks and all of that. And it's not organic. It's just, he's kind of putting on a little bit of a show. And it's coming from a good place, but it's really not the way it should be.
Right. Well, and that's part of conscious dating during the date. When you're caught up in it and you're caught up in the moment, or you feel like you're losing traction, you can excuse yourself from the date and then come back to the table when you've like centered yourself again. You've taken some deep breaths, because you want to make sure that it goes the right direction and you are revealing who you really are. But then the parts too that you are revealing, let's say you get into this really flirtatious banter, that is who you are too. It's just that last week when you were out with someone else, like that didn't appear at all. She just didn't inspire that in you.
Yes. That's a great word. Inspire it in you. Yeah. Yeah. This is an age-old question. It actually came up in a feed last night. And it was somebody who was talking about I can't remember his name, but he's supposed to be like a guy's guy. Like he's, very, does talks for guys. He's, wants to bring out the masculinity in men, like true men, things like you should always hang with guys that are going to support you and things like that. And the first thing, and this is a woman sharing this, and this wasn't on a dating site. This is one of my friends. I'm trying to remember, I think it's Samantha, and she was just sharing it. I'm like, what is this? The first thing on there was to always let the woman pay 20%. This is this guy's belief. But so that leads me to the question here.
Hell no.
Okay. So the pay thing.
Why though? I've been out with that guy, not that guy, but that guy. And every single date he said, you don't have to pay, but you need to contribute. Like I needed skin in the game. I drove my ass all the way over here and got dolled up. That's my skin in the game. I like you. I'm demonstrating that I'm really enjoying myself, but it got weird. And really all that was about wasn't masculine, feminine energy balance. That was about his views of money, his own money blocks, and then his upbringing about money and how women use men for money. And I was demonstrating, I'm just sorry, but if I'm leaving a $10 tip, that doesn't mean I'm not using you for money. I still could. Like, that's not, you're throwing a huge monkey wrench into the date.
Yeah.
When really it's not netting you the answer you're looking for anyway. But of course I couldn't date that guy anyway. I mean, if he's starting off thinking that I'm using him for his money, we literally can't go anywhere from there. But it really felt so twisted and wrong.
I'm feel dirty even hearing that. It's just
it was just
it's
awful.
like, but it's like, are you invested in this situation? and
Mhm.
and you're going
Yeah.
to make a monetary investment as opposed, in addition to everything else. How do you confront uh, the sharing of expenses and dates? Okay, first date, I
Mhm.
am 1000%. She is not paying, and that's also, I
Mhm.
believe, part of the masculinity thing.
It is.
Now we're like
Mhm.
three dates in. Is it okay? So
Yeah.
listen. She says, "Listen, I want to leave a tip. I'm going to leave a tip. Are you
Yeah.
okay with that? Give me some framework there."
That is murky. So for the first few dates, pay just to take that off the table as a question. And so she does feel like she can just
Hmm,
relax without thinking all night. Is this the date that I'm because you're
right.
both thinking about it then, right? But then after that, leaving the tip's a great idea. Or you have dinner at one place and then you go someplace for drinks. So she gets the drinks. I think it just naturally evolves over time where you both contribute. I think if the financial disparity is great, I think you just have to be careful. Like you can't take a woman to, a five-star restaurant that's $250 a plate and say, now it's your turn to pay. I mean, you really need to be very cautious about
Sure.
if that's your lifestyle, that's okay, but then let her get, tacos another day or
Yeah, yeah.
something like that. But don't put undue financial burden on, someone else if that's the kind of date that you are choosing. So I think if she plans a date for you, which is really romantic too, it's nice for her to take the wheel after a while, then she can pay.
I don't think that's ever
Yeah.
happened to me. Oh my
A woman
gosh.
planned a date for you?
Like in the beginning stages?
Oh, well, I'm thinking more like date 4 or 5. She might think,
Okay.
I have a
All right,
really
fair
great
enough.
place, or
Right.
oh, there's this, little concert, neighborhood concert. Do you want to come with me? And then, you pack a
Okay.
picnic and
Hmm.
yeah,
And you know what?
yeah.
There it goes back to the masculine thing. Guy
Hmm.
usually plans it, or if I have other ideas, here's three
Hmm.
choices. Which one do you like?
Hmm.
I think, is
But
that fair
don't
enough?
do that until don't even do that until later on. Just
That's what
plan
I'm
the
saying.
date and say, yep. So
Like
that's a
three
later
in.
on thing too. Or even if, dating online, sometimes you end up dating someone where you're going to drive to her, but you're completely unfamiliar with the area. Don't ask her to plan the date or ask her for advice. That's something Google, Yelp, that's why those sites exist, right? Because you don't want her doing all that same legwork. You
Right.
want her to show, even when we're in an unfamiliar place, I'm safe. He's looking out for me. And he's still going to plan the date. I know he doesn't know what he's doing and he's doing it anyway. I love that. Like that starts to build trust and confidence in you because you have confidence in yourself and you're just going to take on that role despite the fact that it's uncomfortable and you don't know what you're doing.
I find, and that's kind of fun too. I
Yeah,
find
an
it gets to
adventure.
you get to a point where you don't care anymore. And by that, what I
Mhm,
mean
mhm.
is this is my idea, and this is what we're going to do. This
Right.
I'm pushing it out there, and that's it. I'm not being a jerk, but I'm just
Yeah.
taking charge here, and that's it. Instead of like
Mhm.
overthinking it, guacamole, yes
Right.
or no?
Right. Absolutely.
All right,
Yes.
we got
Especially
one.
even when they make it right at the table, that's even
Hundred
more
thousand
fun.
percent.
Yeah.
And COVID killed that, but it's slowly coming back. Tableside guac.
Yes.
Okay, it's got to be fresh.
Yes.
How do we
Yeah.
find you, Tamara? If a guy wants some advice, just the kind of things that we're talking about now
Mhm,
to up his game and ultimately find his true connection. How does he
mhm.
find you, and how does it start?
Well, to get out of the friend zone, you're going to stay in the friend zone date after date if we don't get you out of this cycle. Or if you are attracting women that are after your money, then we need to talk to because you're putting that energy out there until you adjust your energy. That's going to happen. So, Tamara, True Connection on Instagram, or you can find my website at trueconnection.coach, COACH. Yeah, I would love to help you find her sooner than later.
All I can say is, where were you, like, a year and a half ago, to whatever? Um, the money I wasted on restaurants,
Right? Exactly. Yes.
invested in somebody who's going to be your coach and walk you through the journey there. Uh,
Mhm.
fantastic. Always great talking with you, by the
Yeah.
way.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Steve. Yep.
All right.
It's been
Thanks,
a
Tamara.
great
We'll
day.
catch up next time. Okay.
Sounds great.
Thanks.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.